Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Welcome to episode 2 of my map reviews. And today we are reviewing Starblight Desert by Mowse, a map with 16 objectives for Java version 1.16.5. This is a very fun map, some big YouTubers have played, and I thought, why not do a review? I also play the map, so you can also see my gameplay in the review and go to my series if you want to watch that as well. This review will include spoiler-free parts and a spoiler part, as well as a score out of 100 for the map at the end, in which I'll grade the map in 4 different categories: gameplay, aesthetics, variety, and balance, as well as a bonus score, which comes from my personal experience with the map and tries to lift the rating up to what I believe is fair for the map. So anyways, let's get started with the review. Well, let's start with the spoiler-free part. This map is a CTM map, of course, and a CTM map is a complete the monument map in which you'll have to bring certain objectives from different types of dungeons or puzzles or challenges to a monument in order to beat the map. This map has 16 objectives and 5 bonus objectives, so a bit more things for the completionists. And it's an open world map. This map, what does that mean? It has no intersections. Usually intersections are 4-way path, or more or less depending on the map maker's thoughts. But this map is an open world map, basically meaning you can go anywhere or almost anywhere from almost anywhere. And it allows for different experience every time. Now, what mechanics does the map have? The map has a few mechanics. First of all, you see how I take damage? And you see how there's no hunger bar? Well, if I eat food, I will heal the health bar. I will be able to heal myself using food. That is one of the few mechanics the map has. The other one is this thing. You see the 5 by my name in the tag? Well, that means I have 5 sanity. What is sanity? Well, the map tells us it's something to do with soul lanterns. The map doesn't have a death counter included. You can add one yourself. But I believe a much more fun challenge than keeping your death to 0 is to prevent that sanity meter to go to 0, which it goes down 1 every time you die. But you will be able to heal yourself, 1, by several means, including honey bottles and breaking flowers. The map also has this little mechanic, which is a crate. This is a little thing that texture pack of the map edits, and crates give you some random loot. So, let's talk more about the map itself. Let's talk more about what the map has to offer. So, let's talk more about the map proper. Also, yes, I switched myself to creative mode. So, this is the monument of the map, by the way. It's a very simple monument. And it's a very small monument as well. Some maps have grander monuments. And another thing that this map does is that it's overall a smaller map. It has some bigger areas than others, but some of the areas usually tend to be on the smaller side of most of the CTMs. Some areas are shorter, but what I'm used to from the bigger maps, of the bigger series of maps, like the Untold Stories series or the Ragecraft series. But they do feel pretty well, even if they're short. They feel like a breeze if you have the correct armor. And also, they have another thing, which is the interconnection between areas. As I said before, this map is an open world, and you will find several areas interconnected with each other. So, you can be, for example, in lime, and while the next progression of area should be pink, you may find brown or you may find green, which is something that's really cool. It makes the world feel open, it makes the world feel connected. It doesn't feel like a set of weird crossroads that connect everything in the world. And that leads to the different experience each time. You can go tackle different areas in different orders, or if you play this map and another friend of yours played this map and both of you beat the map separately, you can tell, oh, I first went to white, then to orange, then to magenta. But he may tell you, oh, I first went to white, then to magenta, then to yellow, then to black. It's entirely possible for you in the map. It's entirely possible for you to have several different ways to experience the map, even if you replay it. Which I do feel is something important about this map. It has a great replay value. Maybe not for more than 2 playthroughs, but it's definitely a map worth checking out twice, if you're feeling like it. I'm not one to replay maps most of the time, but I definitely feel like this map can deserve a second look, especially considering the different kinds of experience and order of areas you can get in the map. Now, the good thing about the area length I mentioned before is that it brings variety. No 2 areas feel the same. There's a couple that feel a bit similar, or at least like they had the same thoughts from the creator in mind, but they still feel like their own distinct areas. They each have their own theme, they each have their own layout, they each have their own general feel, especially considering the gray area, for example Emerald Lake Tower, which is one of my favorite areas in the map, can feel different for me than it did for someone else, if we break things down differently, like if I did it in order and he did it in backwards order, if he felt like it, whatever. Mowse left us a really nice map that we can enjoy in several different ways. Now, if there's one thing I have to say about the map that's more on the negative side, is that despite being an open world, some of the top worlds and underground caves can feel a bit empty and meandering. You know, like you can wander around and some areas of the map just feel like really barren, which, yes, it's a desert, it's meant to be barren, but you will more often than not find yourself standing in between 2 points of interest. Like, for example, you have this tower and this tower, and you can see both towers, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go to this tower, or oh, I'm gonna go to this tower. But while you're here, there's nothing for you to do. You just go from one tower to the other. And I feel like that's something the map lacks a little. Like, the areas are packed with gameplay, but the outside of natural maps, doesn't really feel that tight. It feels a bit loose, it feels a bit meandering. And it also makes the moment when you enter an area feel more special, but it also feels a moment of looking for a new area, since, while areas are a bit, they tell you when you enter an area, you'll never know when you're in one properly. Or like, oh, it's that thing, I have to whack all this, and there's nothing for me to do here. It's just something that I feel like the map could have done better. Like, in this part of the map, like, sure, there's a path, and sure, there's a spawner, and sure, there's bones over there, and you see some red sand over there that you may want to do, and a little lake here, but oh, little lake, let me get there. Oh, little light, let me get there. Oh, another light, let me get there. And as a map maker, I can understand that filling out a world can be really hard. Even with my own smaller areas, I can struggle. But that is one of the bigger criticisms I have of the map. But I do insist you play it. I believe it's a fun experience for anyone who wishes to play a CTM. And it's definitely not the first map you should play, or you should get a friend to get introduced to it, but it's definitely a map you'll have fun with. And that closes the part of spoiler free for the map. And now let's get on to the spoiler part. Ooh. You should skip to the scoring part if you want to watch that, if you intend to play this map blindly, or if you need a bit more convincing, or you're not sure, you can watch the next parts to feel good about it. Welcome to the spoiler part of the map. I have flown somewhere else to bring you more of a grabbed touch at the map. So the first thing that I want to say regarding the spoilers is that some areas are a bit too short at times. No area drags on for too long, but some areas do feel very short that I would have personally liked to be longer. Like this is light gray wool, Ember Lake Tower. There you can see it on top of my hotbar. And it just feels a bit too short. Like it's just this few little lakes, and climb up the pillar, then go down the pillar. Like here, I'll do it. You just build up the pillar, get down, and there's the wool for you. There's your wool. So I don't know. I feel like I could have done with more. Maybe the tower could have had some way to get it up from the inside, which I think it does actually. I don't think it does. Yeah, it does. I just built myself up. But I really wish the map like had longer areas like this. Like, look at this little like nothing desert part. Like, look at that. It could have done with some more. Like, look at that. It could have done with some more of these. Like, I remember playing this area and just shooting the blazes, moving from lake to lake, filling them with water to escape the burning sensation of them. And it just could have done with some areas being big. This is one. I believe White Wool was also way too short. And I feel other areas could have really done with some more. Now before I head into my areas to drag back home the point that I made earlier, this hill has nothing to it. This one barely does as well. Like, you could have fit another area here, or just done things better, I don't know. Now, if there's another thing, is that some areas can be a bit too empty at times. Like what? I'd say gray was too empty at times. Because if you walk, like, that area was a storage area. And you should be seeing some gameplay of me there right now. I feel like while the part itself was very fun, the outside part of that cave felt like just really Inferno Mines-ish, how it was just there with some rails and some structure. It was better than way older maps, but it still could have done with some more. Like maybe some crumbled railways, maybe some fallen bits. I don't know what else I'd do. Probably add a lava puddle or two as well. But it felt, the outside felt very empty. The interiors are well done. You are very good with interiors, Mowse. But yeah. Now, I do have to say that some areas are just perfectly filled and don't feel empty at all. And I feel this is another one of them. Starblight Invasion, Purple Wool. I'll show you some of my favorite wools in the map. And this one, I feel like the layout was really tight and good. I'm gonna go down there because it leads you down to that part. I felt like the layout on this one was tight and good. The wool's right there. Like, the wools are very easy wool. It also gets the spot of the nether. Let me just hostile creatures 60%. Thank you very much. But yeah, I do feel like the nether portal part, the nether part is really good, and this whole wool is very fun. It's not my favorite of the map, but it does have fun. But like, look, these little exits, and also custom mobs. The custom mobs in the map are really good. They really heighten up the challenge. Sometimes custom mobs can feel a bit just filling out. Oh, it's a zombie with armor. Just fill it out. But no, the mobs in this map, the custom ones, really feel like they heighten the stakes. Like when you run into one, you will know you're in dangerous territory. But here's another area, Riptide Lava Coils, which is one of the fun areas of the map. A very short area, but one of the fun ones. And this area works as an interconnection. And I do feel like I need to mention blue. Blue may be one of the better looking areas of the map. This area, while the aesthetics don't blow you away, it doesn't have any killer buildings. I mean, just look at it. It looks really tight. It looks really dark and damp. I don't know, I feel like this area can be a bit humid and dry at the same time. I don't know why. It gives me that vibe. But it pulls off the exteriors and interiors mix very well. If you've played the map, you know this area interconnects to basically everything you've ever played in the map. And it can be one of the first walls you get in the map if you look hard enough. Like, do not find the entrance to the wall, like you will be led here by other walls. There's like 5 different ways you can enter this wall. And it's very, very, very fun. But if we do have to talk about some walls, and you will excuse me here as I get into spectator mode. Or I don't know, I think I can just like do this. Yeah, there we go. You can find this. Now, this doesn't feel like it belongs in the map. It sticks out a lot, and you really want to go here, and I really did for a while. I left it for last. But guys, this part I enjoyed. I felt like a kid in Christmas. Like, just look at the town. It's beautiful, and it plays really nice too. There are many towns in CTM maps that just play empty, but this map feels like every corner, every alleyway is filled with gameplay. And just Brown Wool, which is a tower in this town. Sorry, city. This is a city. This isn't a town. This is a gosh darn city. And Mowse built a beautiful city that like has very distinct buildings, very distinct parts. The walls are very fun gameplay, but the inside of the tower of the city and the tower that hosts the Black Wool feels like really good gameplay. When you cross the gates of this area, you feel like you're in a whole different map, and you want more of this. And I certainly hope Mouse's next projects have more of this. It just made the map feel. It felt a bit jarring, I'll be honest. But it felt very rewarding to come in here. Like, okay, you played some of the shorter, less decorated areas. Now treat yourself to an amazing gameplay filled experience and an amazing gameplay. Sorry, not gameplay, aesthetic experience. It's not Divinity Sand by any means, but it wouldn't look out of place there. I feel like I'd enjoy this over Navis area in that map. It feels very, very nice. And the build style too. Mouse has a starting to feel like a very distinct building style of Mouse that's very rectangular, but it works really well with its angles. Sorry if you hear the amount of guests. But yeah, like this is one of the areas that don't feel empty at all. And I'm not gonna head into black or into the nether areas. I'm gonna show you some gameplay from them. But I certainly feel like this map doesn't stick the end game at all. The landing of the end game, it doesn't fall flat on its face. By any means, it doesn't. Let me just get to an area that has no guests. But I certainly feel that the end game. Jesus, zombie, can you not interrupt me, please? Actually, such difficulty, peaceful. There we go. No hostile maps. I do feel like the end game of the map lacked that grandiose oomph that some maps have as their end game. Especially after playing Castlevania, which has the best end game I've ever played in a map. I do feel like the end game of this map, the last 3 walls, like for me personally, the last 3 walls are like the big bad bosses of the map and are the whole end game as a whole, even if the map is open world. The end game just fell a bit meh for me. Like, I really wish I could have played some of the other areas last, if I knew what was waiting for me in Black Wool or Red Wool even. But even so, I still believe they are very serviceable final areas. They play their purpose really well. I really feel other areas in the map, while didn't have the same difficulty, which that's the objective of the black wool, to be a final challenge, I felt like other areas, particularly I'd say green was one of my favorite areas, and blue and purple, which I showed off earlier, definitely could have felt more of a final challenge in terms of the aesthetics and the gameplay than what you get in black in the map. But it's still a pretty serviceable black wool. It's still a very tough black wool. It's a callback to older maps. That's how I describe it. But black wool in the map could have been better, and the map isn't as tight as a whole because of that loose end at the end. But it's still a very, very, very strong experience I recommend for everyone. Well, now we're back here at the monument, and it's time to score the map. Hello everyone who came from the spoiler-free part of the review. We went and flew through the map, and I gave my thoughts on some areas. Not that many. I want to really keep most of this map under covers. But yeah. Also, let me know, do you like this little separation of the map? Spoiler-free and spoiler-heavy. I need the spoiler-heavy parts not spoilery enough. Doesn't it show you like enough areas? But it's time to score the map now. Let's remember, I scored this out of 5 bits, and each bit is out of 20. There's gameplay, aesthetics, variety, gameplay, aesthetics, variety, and balance, and the bonus, which is my personal opinion of the map. Everyone scored out of 20 to give a score out of 100 now. This may be the only episode, the only second episode of the series, but it's probably gonna stay there as the best map I've reviewed for a while, or at least in the top 3 for a fair little while, until I feel like I can make a review on some of the bigger maps I've played. But let's get started. So, gameplay. Other than the legacy food data pack, which is what I showed earlier in the review, that is what lets us eat and regen our health, I feel like the map does a fine job with it. The food isn't really scarce at all, which, other than having a fun way to eat and regenerate, that's constant, and a few custom mechanics here or there in some areas, I feel like the gameplay doesn't change up much. It doesn't deserve like that 15 plus, which is what I give the high rated maps. But I feel a 13 out of 20 is very fair because the gameplay is tight and it's just fun. I just felt it was fun. And you do get a lot of fun tools, especially some tridents, I'll say that much, that make things very fun and let you do some really cool stuff. Aesthetics. Now, some areas are good, some areas are very poor in this part. I feel aesthetics should get 12 out of 20. Some areas, particularly towards the middle of the map, really feel like they carry some of the other areas in the map, which it isn't their strong suit to be visually impactful areas, but some definitely feel too simple and empty at times. And even outside of the areas, like the whole overworld feels a bit samey at times, even if it has its cool points of interest without being area. It just feels a bit, nah. I could have used some more of the red sandstone we get in the monuments. And variety. Yeah, the aesthetics can help here in making each area look different, but I feel like the layouts and themes, even if the whole map is desert, you can enter a cactus cave, you can enter an old mining town, a giant city, a tower in the nether, and a great temple, like a really cool temple. The for being vanilla temple, it's a really cool temple. And just the variety I felt in all of the areas was just really neat, personally. And I feel a 17 out of 20 is really good here. Because some areas are really vertical, some areas are not. Some areas are really tight, some areas are very open. Some areas really have you to focus on the custom maps. Some areas are really about just looking at your back. Some areas can feel very boxy and oppressive. Other can just let you wander around. There's fun areas. There's grindy areas. I feel like the map did this really, really well. And the balance as well is the next thing on our list. And despite you being able to sequence break in the map feels balanced still. What do I mean by sequence breaking? Well, the issue of the map being open world and interconnected as is that you can find some areas from other places. And what that means is that you can get some better loot if you find a later area first. Or enter it. Now, this is up to the player. Because there's some very obvious points of interest that you're going to want to attack first. Which, if you want to attack them first, you can end up getting gear 5 or 6 or even 10 areas ahead of some moves that you'll attack later. Even then, I feel like the middle to end of this map feels very tight in gameplay and balance and difficulty. So much so that even if you tackle everything normally, you still feel like you are built for each area, and even if you tackle things in a different order than Mowse intended us to, you'll still find yourself with a challenge. It'll be an easier challenge, but it's a challenge. And grinding and exploring is rewarding. Even if the map can feel empty at parts, you can find some stuff that will certainly make your life easier if you go look for it. And now a final bonus. It's my opinion of the map. It's a 13 out of 20. It's a very fun map. I have very fun memories of recording and playing this map. And yeah, I feel like a 13 of 20 is most fair we can give this map. And that will give us to a total of 70 out of 100. Which, variety being the best of the map and aesthetics being the lowest point. And I would definitely say I would recommend this map to almost anyone, honestly. It can be a bit easier for veterans, especially if you've been playing maps for about 10 years now, which is perfectly possible. Hell, I'm one of them. Never said I was actually any good at them. But it can be a bit easier for them. It's a fun challenge. I definitely recommend this map with friends. You have that friend who won't play a CTM map by himself or herself, and you just really want them to get into the genre, bring them along and play this map with them. I seriously recommend this map. And if you don't wish to play it, I would recommend watching my series on it. And there's a bunch of other series on it. The Men, Team Canada, and others have series on this map. Vertigen does too, my friend Vertigen. But yeah, I definitely recommend you certainly check and poke things about this map. And that does it for the review. Thank you for watching. Please tell me if you like this different style of review. Last one I did was almost 2 months ago. It got some popularity, but it just felt a bit meh because I was just flying around the map. But if you want that back, I can certainly do it. And tell me how much you like the spoiler-free part of this review. And yep, thank you all so much for watching. Stay safe out there, and peace. Oh, also let me know what map you would like for me to review next. If it's one I've played, or if it's one you want me to play just for reviews. And yep, thank you all for watching. Bye bye.